Episode 9 is said to have many different connections of both the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, not only that, J.J. will also be inserting a lot of connections and links to Star Wars Rebels for some of the characters like Ezra, Ahsoka, etc. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with a major indicator of Rey having a connection with Ezra Bridger. Specifically, a description of Rey disassembling of what's described as a lightsaber that once belonged to Ezra Bridger. It's described that Rey is inside of a cave on a desert world, with many relics sitting in the background. It's said that Rey uses Ezra's diatium power cell, power insulator, crystal chamber, and cycling field energizers in order to reforge the Anakin Skywalker lightsaber into one piece. The next goes over Rey also inserting the energy modulation circuits from Ezra's saber. It's said that this will be a big Easter egg in the film that many hardcore fans will pick up immediately. Now, we heard about this lightly a couple of weeks ago about Rey actually implementing pieces of Ezra Bridger's lightsaber into the actual hilt. However, we didn't necessarily know exactly what parts of the lightsaber would be inserted into Rey's new one. Now, I'm not too familiar with lightsaber parts, but I do find it very interesting that all the different parts of the actual lightsabers actually do have different names here. So, the lightsaber itself, as you all know, is a very complex weapon. If you guys actually go ahead and check out the interior of it, Kylo Ren's for a big example, I believe it was in one of the visual dictionaries, you can see how the kyber crystal's cracked, you can see all the parts in that lightsaber. Each and every lightsaber has a different design, and the inner workings of it are all different when it comes to the different layouts and all. Now, as far as Ezra Bridger and his lightsaber parts being a part of the Anakin reforged saber, I think is not only respectful to Anakin Skywalker, but it's also a great nod to the character of Ezra from Star Wars Rebels. Now, I can see why some people out there would have a problem with this, where Rey is actually pretty much, taking apart Ezra's lightsaber, an iconic lightsaber in Star Wars Rebels and the animated TV series, etc. So, with that being said, when we look at the character of Ezra, we can see all of these little, these little connections between the actual sequel trilogy characters and some of the Rebels characters. Now, this is going to be described as one of the big Easter eggs in the movie that fans will pick up immediately. And that's one thing that I think J.J. Abrams likes to pay attention to, is of course adding in Easter eggs that are going to be quite noticeable to the hardcore fan. Now, this also makes sense since J.J. actually has had a lot of discussions with Dave Filoni, the showrunner of Star Wars Rebels. He's also somewhat of a part of Star Wars Resistance, by the way, which is a show all about the First Order and of course the Resistance. So, going into Episode 9 and having all these different connections to Star Wars Rebels, even though they are considered to be very minor and nothing significant to the point where it's going to be like Ezra's, going to actually have a real connection to the character of Rey. It's not like she's related to him or anything, but you can see the connections that JJ is trying to make here with the sequel trilogy characters, the legacy ones, as well as the Star Wars Rebels characters like Ahsoka, Ezra, and even Kanan Jarrus, as we went over just yesterday about his actual holocron that we talked about. Now, the thing here is this. When we think about it like this, are all parts from Ezra's lightsaber necessarily compatible with Anakin's reforged? Now, this is something that I think not a lot of people are very well informed on, and yes, it is true that certain parts of other lightsaber do have to be compatible most likely with another hilt, and how big the actual lightsaber is, the inner workings of it and everything. So it's a very complex design for sure. This new Anakin Skywalker reforged saber is actually said to have a new design in this movie. Nothing too different, but it's going to have a new look that's going to make it feel fresh and new, which honestly I think is great because, you can see what Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to do. This is going to be a way to sell more toys once again, and new replica pieces. If you guys are into collecting lightsaber hilt replicas, it'll be yet another addition on the table. Now, these are the types of things that I really love seeing in a Star Wars film, something that has never really been deeply explored on film per se in the Skywalker saga. You know, we're talking Jedi lore, Sith lore, pieces of lightsabers being implemented into other lightsabers out there. I love this kind of stuff, and I think it's going to be a great way in order to educate the casual viewer, the casual fan, about the inner workings of lightsabers. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.